Hello everyone, welcome to the new chapter, A Three-Wheeled Revolution. A Three-Wheeled Revolution. This chapter is in the form of an interview with Irfan Alam given to Sujata Ramprasad for India Currents in May 2010. After he participated in the Entrepreneurship Summit in Washington. A Three-Wheeled Revolution. Congratulations on your achievement. When and how did you conceive this idea? Irfan Alam is given answers to Sujata Ramprasad questions. I was 17 years old at that time. I was traveling in a rickshaw, and in the middle of the journey, I was very thirsty. I asked the rickshaw puller if he had any water. He said that he did not carry water bottles because he did not have money to buy and stack them. When and how did you conceive this idea? When she asked this question, Irfan Alam says that when he was 17 years old, while he was traveling in a rickshaw and in the middle of the journey, he feels very thirsty. So he asked the rickshaw puller if he had any water in the rickshaw. The rickshaw puller answered that he did not carry water bottles in the rickshaw because he did not have money to buy water bottles and there is no space in the rickshaw to stack or store them. A Three-Wheeled Revolution. This chapter is in the form of an interview with Irfan Alam given to Sujata Ramprasad for India Currents in May 2010 after he participated in the Entrepreneurship Summit in Washington. Here are in the form of question and answers. This chapter is in the form of questions and answers because this chapter is in the form of an interview with Irfan Alam. The first question. Congratulations on your achievement. When and how did you conceive this idea? Irfan Alam replied, I was 17 years old at that time. I was traveling in a rickshaw and in the middle of the journey, I was very thirsty. I asked the rickshaw puller if he had any water. He said that he did not carry water bottles because he did not have money to buy and stack them. It set me thinking, and I immediately realized that there was a market for selling water bottles in rickshaws. The very next day, I talked to 5 rickshaw pullers and gave them each 8 bottles of water. I told them that for every bottle they sold, we would make a profit of 2 rupees, which we would split in half. The very first day, I made a profit of 8 rupees. Listen. When Sujata Ramprasad asked this question, Irfan Alam replied that when he was 17 years old at the time, while he was traveling in a rickshaw, and in the middle of the journey, he feels very thirsty. So he asked the rickshaw puller if he had any water in the rickshaw. The rickshaw puller answered that he did not carry water bottles because he did not have money to buy water bottles. And the rickshaw has no space to store or stack them. It is said Irfan Alam thinking, and he immediately realized that there was a market for selling water bottles in rickshaws. When the rickshaw puller said that he had no space to store the water bottles in his rickshaw and he had no money to buy water bottles, it set Irfan Alam thinking that there was a market for selling water bottles in rickshaws. What did Irfan Alam do? The very next day, he talked to 5 rickshaw pullers and gave them each 8 bottles of water. So Irfan Alam, he talked to 5 rickshaw pullers and gave them 8 each bottles of water to them. And he told them that for every bottle they sold, they would make a profit of 2 rupees and they would split that 2 rupees in half. It means that 1 rupee for rickshaw puller and 1 rupee for Irfan Alam. And the very first day, he made a profit of 8 rupees. The very first day, Irfan Alam made a profit of 8 rupees. 8 rupees for Irfan Alam and 8 rupees for rickshaw pullers. So he understood that there was a market for selling water bottles in rickshaws. And also it would help rickshaw pullers as well. Clear, all of you? Okay, that is the first question. Next question. You were very young when you came up with and executed this idea. Sujata Ramprasad interview with Irfan Alam, and yeah, she asked that. You were very young when you came up with and executed this idea. Yes, I guess entrepreneurship is in my blood. I had an interest in business from the very early age. During the stock market scam in 1992, my father and many of his friends lost a lot of money. That is when I started taking interest in the stock market and began researching on various companies. Interestingly, using my advice, all of my father's friends recovered their losses and most of them started making profits. Listen. Yes, I guess entrepreneurship is in my blood. Entrepreneurship is in the blood of Irfan Alam. What is entrepreneurship? Samrambam. Yes, entrepreneurship is in my blood. I had an interest in business from the very early age. He had an interest in business. Irfan Alam, he had an interest in business from the very early age. During the stock market scam, scam means scandal. During the stock market scam in 1992, his father, Irfan Alam's father, and many of his friends, many of his friends means many of his father's friends lost a lot of money in 1992 during the stock market scam. That is when he started taking interest in the stock market and he began researching on various companies. Irfan Alam, he started researching on various companies and he took interest in stock market. Interestingly, using my advice, all of my father's friends recovered their losses. Interestingly, using my advice. Using my advice means using Irfan Alam's advice. All of my father's friends recovered their losses. Okay. Using Irfan Alam's advice, all of the friends of his fathers recovered. That means all of the friends of his father recovered their losses. And most of them started making profits. This enabled me to start my first portfolio management firm at the age of 13. At the age of 13. So interestingly, using my advice, all of my father's friends recovered their losses and most of them started making profits. And this enabled Irfan Alam to start his first portfolio management firm at the age of 13. At the age of 13. Okay. When my parents found out that I was dabbling in the rickshaw sector as well, they pulled me aside and asked me to stop doing it and concentrate on my studies. So I shelved it. But my interest never waned. I kept reading and researching on the sector all through my college days in Pondicherry, where I pursued my Master's of Foreign Trade degree. Okay. Listen. So he started what? He started the first portfolio management firm at the age of 13. When his parents found out that he was dabbling. Dabbling means, yes, he is not seriously preparing. Okay. When he was dabbling in the rickshaw sector as well. Okay. They pulled me aside and asked me to stop doing it. And they asked him to concentrate on his studies. Irfan Alam's parents asked Irfan Alam to stop concentrating on the rickshaw sector and to concentrate on his studies. So he shelved it. Okay. But my interest never waned. His interest never waned. His interest never decreased. Okay. For the rickshaw sector. He kept reading and researching on the sector. He kept reading and researching on rickshaw sector all through his college days in Pondicherry, where he pursued his master's degree of foreign trade. He followed master's foreign trade degree. So Irfan Alam is very much interested in rickshaw sector when his father advised him to put aside the rickshaw sector and to concentrate on his studies. So he just shelved that desire and he began to concentrate on his studies. But his interest never waned. He kept reading and researching on this sector through all his college days, and he pursued his master's degree in foreign trade. Clear, all of you? I hope you get clear. Next paragraph. What was the spark that revived this idea? What was the spark that revived this idea? In 2006, an Indian TV show called Business Basigar launched an entrepreneur hunt and solicited ideas for new businesses. I entered this context with a business proposal. My idea was to organize the rickshaw sector and make it a profitable venture. According to my proposal, rickshaws were to be redesigned so that the spaces on the vehicles could be sold for the purposes of advertising and brand promotion. Also, I indicated that additional revenues could be made by selling products like water, juice, biscuits, mobile cart, and newspapers to the passengers. I won the show and was offered the seed money of rupees 150 lakhs. So the question here is, what was the spark that revived this idea? In 2006, an Indian TV show called Business Bazigar, it launched an entrepreneur hunt and solicited ideas for new businesses. In which year? In 2006, an Indian TV show called The Business Bazigar. This program is in CTV and it launched an entrepreneur hunt and it solicited many ideas for new businesses. Irfan Alam entered this contest with a business proposal because he has an idea of rickshaw sector in his mind. So he entered this contest with this business proposal. With this business proposal means with the business proposal of rickshaw sector. His idea was to organize the rickshaw sector and make it a profitable venture. So he introduced this idea in Business Bazigar show. And according to my proposal, rickshaws were to be redesigned. According to his proposal, rickshaws were to be redesigned. The outdated form of these rickshaws had to be changed. It must change. And the rickshaws were to be redesigned so that the spaces on the vehicles could be sold for the purpose of advertising and brand promotion. Okay. So, according to his proposal, the rickshaws were to be redesigned and that the spaces on the vehicle, it could be sold for the purposes of advertising and brand promotion. The space on the rickshaw puller, the space on the rickshaws were to be redesigned and it could be sold for the purpose of advertising and brand promotion. A good and a innovative idea, isn't it? Also, he indicated that additional revenues could be made by selling products like water, juice, biscuit, mobile cards, and newspapers to the passengers. What an innovative idea in his mind, isn't it? In 2006, he introduced this idea in the Business Bazigar show for the CTV. And he indicated that additional revenues could be made. The rickshaw pullers, they would get additional income. How they would get additional income? By selling products like water, juice, biscuits, mobile cards, and newspaper to the passengers. He won the show and he offered the seed money of rupees 150 lakh. Irfan Alam won the Business Bazigar show and he offered the seed money of 150 lakh. Okay, clear. Okay, next question. Was Sarman started with the seed money? Was Sarman started with the seed money? He said, no. I very soon realized that the entry barrier to this business was very low. The only way to sustain this business was to earn the loyalty of the rickshaw pullers. I wanted to provide insurance, ID cards, and uniforms to the rickshaw pullers. I wanted to run this idea as a not. I wanted to run this as a not-for-profit organization. I wanted to run this as not-for-profit organization. To be honest with you, I was not thinking about social entrepreneurship at that point. I just thought that it would be the best way to sustain the business and the easiest way to get banks to give out loans. Since the organizers of the TV show did not agree to this model, I ended up refusing the seed capital. So, was Sarman started with the seed money. The seed money offered by Business Basic show 150 lakh. So, she's asking, was Sarman started with the seed money? He replied, no. He very soon realized that the entry barrier to this program, to this business, the entry barrier to this business was very low. He soon realized that the entry barrier to this business was very low. And the only way to sustain this business was to earn the loyalty of the rickshaw pullers. He immediately realized that the only way to sustain this business was to earn the loyalty of the rickshaw pullers. He needed the loyalty of the rickshaw pullers in order to start this venture. He wanted to provide insurance, ID cards, and uniforms to the rickshaw pullers. So he provided insurance, ID cards, and uniform to the rickshaw pullers. Okay, which are the things he provided to them? Yes, insurance. Insurance provided to the rickshaw pullers. ID cards and uniforms to the rickshaw puller. Okay, when these all provided to them, they became so happy, isn't it? Because they provided insurance, ID cards, and uniforms. And he wanted to run this as not-for-profit organization. And to be honest with you, I was not thinking seriously about social entrepreneurship at that point. He was not thinking it as a social entrepreneurship at that time. He just thought that it would be the best way to sustain the business and the easiest way to get a bank to give out loans. So he thought it would be the best way to sustain the business. And it would be the easiest way to get banks to give out loans for the rickshaw pullers. Since the organizers of the TV show did not agree to this model, when he introduced this idea, which idea? The banks to provide a loan to the rickshaw pullers. But the Business Basic program, they did not accept the proposal by Irfan Alam. They did not agree to this model. and he ended up refusing the seed money offered by business bazigar. He ended up refusing the seed capital. He refused to accept the seed capital offered by them. Clear, all of you? Okay, so which are the things he provided? Insurance, ID cards, uniform to the rickshaw pullers, isn't it? And yes, he gave loan directly to the rickshaw pullers through bank. And he did not agree to the model of business bazigar program. And he ended up refusing the seed capital offered by them. Clear? Next paragraph. When did this turn come into a true social venture? When did this turn into a true social venture? As I understood more about the lives of the rickshaw pullers and their plight, it turned into a social cause. As I understood more about the lives of the rickshaw pullers and their plight, it turned into a social cause. So when did this turn into a social venture? When he understood more about the background of the rickshaw pullers and their plight and their sad condition and their terrible condition, when he came to understand about their terrible condition, the rickshaw pullers' condition, their plight, it turned into a social cause. There are about 10 million rickshaws operating in India. And most of these rickshaw pullers do not own the rickshaws, but instead rent them at the rate of 30 to 40 rupees per day. There are about 10 million rickshaws operating in India. And most of these rickshaw pullers do not own the rickshaws, but instead they rent them at the rate of 30 to 40 rupees per day. Most of the rickshaw pullers, they do not own the rickshaws, but instead they rent them. They rent the rickshaws at the rate of 30 to 40 rupees per day. And after paying the rent, it is barely sufficient to sustain their families. After paying the rent, 30 or 40 rupees per day, they are barely sufficient to sustain their families. They get only a low income from the rickshaws before they get into the Sarman Foundation. So, it is barely sufficient to sustain the families. They are in bad plight and they continue to remain at the bottom of the pyramid. Poor rickshaw pullers, they continue to remain at the bottom of the pyramid. When we draw a pyramid, the rickshaw pullers always stay at the bottom because their income is very low after paying the rent. He thought of it. And look, I thought of it if I could create an organization that could empower the rickshaw pullers and find a way to increase the overall revenue. And it would be a win-win situation for both. So, Irfan Alam, he thought of it and he could create an organization. He would like to create an organization and that would empower the rickshaw pullers. He thought to create an organization, and that organization would empower, it would give strength, it would give power to the rickshaws pullers and find a way to increase the overall revenue. And he is finding a way to increase the overall revenue of the rickshaw pullers, the overall income of the rickshaw pullers. He likes to increase the overall revenue of the rickshaw pullers. And he would think to start an organization in order to empower the rickshaw pullers as well. And it would be like a win-win situation for both. Okay. And he firmly believed in C.K. Prahlad's idea that business can be successful by targeting the bottom of the pyramid. Irfan Alam, he firmly believed in C.K. Prahlad's idea that businesses can be successful by targeting at the bottom of the pyramid. If we start a business, we must target at the bottom of the pyramid. Then only the businesses would be successful. So he firmly believed in C.K. Prahlad's idea. What is C.K. Prahlad's idea? C.K. Prahlad's idea is that businesses can be successful by targeting the bottom of the pyramid. Sarman was finally founded in 2007 with the seed money from family and friends. Finally, he started Sarman, and it founded in 2007 with the seed money offered from family and friends. He rejected the seed money offered by Business Basiga program. He accepted the seed money from his family and friends. And he started his Sarman Foundation in 2007 for the rickshaw sectors or the rickshaw pulling sectors. Okay, next question. Can you describe the operation model of Sarman? Can you describe the operation model of Sarman? When a rickshaw puller approaches Sarman, we first go through a verification process. The operator is then given training on basic etiquette and traffic rules. Then we approach the bank and help them to get a loan for a new rickshaw. Previously, banks were reluctant to give loans to the section of the society. Now, since we stand as guarantors, these rickshaw pullers have access to credit. The rickshaw pullers feel truly empowered when they drive their own vehicle. We provide the rickshaw pullers with accident and health insurance. Each driver is given an ID card and is required to wear a uniform while operating the rickshaws. And the rickshaw puller now becomes a part of Sarman family. Okay. Can you describe the operation model of Sarman? Can you describe the operation model of Sarman? When a rickshaw puller approaches Sarman, Sarman Foundation, they first go through a verification process. When the rickshaw puller approaches Sarman, in order to join in the Sarman Foundation, they first go through a verification process. The operator is then given a training on basic etiquette. Etiquette means socially acceptable behavior. So the operator is then given training on the basic etiquette and traffic rules. At first, they must given a training on the basic etiquette and social training or social training and traffic rules. Then we approach the bank. After giving basic etiquette and traffic rules to the rickshaw pullers, then they approach the bank in order to give loan to them. Then we approach the bank and help them to get a loan for a new rickshaw. Then we approach the bank and help the rickshaw pullers to get a loan for a new rickshaw. Okay, at first they must given training on the basic etiquette and traffic rules, and after giving that, they will approach the bank and help them to get a loan in order to buy a new rickshaw. Previously, banks were very reluctant to give loans to the sections of the society. Previously, banks were very reluctant to give loans to the section of the society. Now, since they stood as guarantors, now Sarman Foundation, they stood as guarantors for the rickshaw pullers. And now the rickshaw pullers have access to credit. They feel empowered. Rickshaw pullers, they feel empowered. Why? When they feel empowered? Yes, after Sarman Foundation stood as guarantors to them, they feel empowered, and the banks were not very reluctant to give loans to them. But previously, the banks were very reluctant to give loans to them. But now, when the Sarman Foundation stood as guarantors to the rickshaw pullers, the banks were giving loans to them without any hesitance. Clear? The rickshaw pullers feel truly empowered when they drive their own vehicle. Now, the rickshaw pullers feel truly empowered because they are driving their own vehicle. It is not for rent. Now, these rickshaws are for their own. Okay. And they are driving their own vehicle. So they feel truly empowered while they drive their own vehicle. And also, they are the part of the Sarman Foundation too, because they have uniform, ID cards, insurance, everything for them, and they feel truly empowered under the Sarman Foundation. We provide the rickshaw pullers with accident and health insurance. The Sarman Foundation, they provide rickshaw pullers with accidents and insurance card. Accident and health insurance. They provide accident insurance and health insurance for them. And also they feel truly empowered. And each driver is given an ID card. Each driver is given an ID card and is required to wear a uniform. Each driver is given an ID card and is required to wear a uniform while operating the rickshaw. So each driver is given an ID card and they are required to wear a uniform while operating the rickshaw. If they are working under the Sarman Foundation, they want to wear this uniform and an ID card. And the rickshaw puller now becomes a part of the Sarman family. Now the rickshaw puller becomes a part of the Sarman family. Clear? Okay. Next question. How does Sarman help increase the revenues of the rickshaw pullers? How does Sarman itself get its revenues. So, what's the next question here? How does Sarman help increase the revenues of the rickshaw pullers? How does Sarman help increase the revenues of the rickshaw pullers? And how does Sarman itself get its revenue? Clear. Sarman rickshaws are designed in such a way that they have plenty of space to display advertisements. Sarman rickshaws are designed in such a way that they have plenty of space to display advertisements. How the Sarman rickshaws are redesigned? Sarman rickshaws are redesigned in such a way that they have plenty of space to display advertisements. Okay. Several local and national brands place their advertisement here. So several local brands and national brands, they place their advertisement on the rickshaws. And the advertisement revenue is split in half between Sarman and the rickshaw pullers. How the revenue is split? The advertisement revenue is only split. The advertisement revenue is split in half between the Sarman and the rickshaw pullers. Also, rickshaw pullers can choose to sell water, juice, cell phone, prepaid cards, etc. It is their choice. Isn't it? It is their choice, means it is a choice of the rickshaw pullers to sell water, juice, cell phone, prepaid cards, whatever it may be. It is their choice. But the advertisement revenue is split in half between the Sarman and the rickshaw pullers. And in that case, they come to the central rickshaw yard in the morning and load up their wares. Because the rickshaw pullers can choose to sell water, fresh juice, cell phone, prepaid cards, etc. In order to collect these all things, that means water, juice, etc., these rickshaws, they would come to the central rickshaw yard in the morning in order to collect water, juice, newspaper, biscuits, etc. They would come to the central rickshaw yard in the morning and they load up these wares. These wares means these goods to their rickshaws. At the end of the day, the profit from their sales is split between them and Sarman. At the end of the day, the profit from their sales At the end of the day, the profit from their sales is split between them and the Sarman. At the end of the day, the profit from their sales is split between them and the Sarman. The money that the rickshaw pullers earn by transporting the passengers is solely theirs. The money that the rickshaw pullers earn by transporting the passengers is solely theirs. So at the end of the day, the profit from the sale is split between them and the Sarman in the evening. Okay, or at the night. The profit from the sale, the profit only. Okay, the profit from the sale is split between them and the Sarman. And the money that the rickshaw pullers earn by transporting the passengers is solely theirs. That means the money they earn from transporting the passengers is solely the rickshaw pullers. It doesn't split between rickshaw puller and the Sarman. Only the profit from the wires and also the advertisement revenue is only split between Sarman and the rickshaw pullers. But the money that they earn by transporting the passengers is solely to the rickshaw pullers. And the revenues of our rickshaw pullers have increased 30 to 40%. The revenues of the rickshaw pullers have increased to 30 to 40%. There are several other benefits on which we cannot put a monetary value. Rickshaw pullers now have a sense of belonging and empowerment. Children of the operators and their spouses attend free evening classes called Sarman. Sarman has brought dignity and inclusion to those who were previously considered menial laborers. In addition, I am very happy to say that Sarman itself is profitable. Last fiscal year, we made a net profit of 8 lakh rupees and a revenue of 50 lakh rupees. My mentors have been emphasizing the importance of sustainability. Okay, there are several other benefits on which we cannot put a monetary value, and the rickshaw pullers now have a sense of belonging and empowerment. Now the rickshaw pullers under the Sarman Foundation, they feel a sense of belonging and empowerment. They feel truly empowered under the Sarman Foundation. Children of the operators and their spouses attend free evening classes called Sarman. So they provide free evening class called Sarman for the operators' children and their spouses and their wives. Children of the operators and their spouses attend free evening classes called Sarman. Sarman has brought dignity and inclusion to those who were previously considered menial laborers. Sarman has brought dignity to them and inclusion to those who were previously considered as menial laborers. At first, these rickshaw pullers were considered as menial laborers, and now under the Sarman Foundation, they feel and they brought dignity and inclusion. In addition, I'm very happy to say that Sarman itself is profitable. So he said that now Sarman is a profitable venture. Last fiscal year means last financial year, we made a net profit of 8 lakh rupees and a revenue of 50 lakh rupees. Last fiscal year, we made a net profit of 8 lakh rupees. Last financial year, they made a net profit of 8 lakh rupees and a revenue of 50 lakh rupees. My mentors have been emphasizing the importance of sustainability. So his mentors have been emphasizing the importance of sustainability. Okay. Next question. Does Sarman get directly involved in microfinancing? Does Sarman get directly involved in microfinancing? No. We do not directly microfinance the rickshaw pullers. We just enable the rickshaw pullers to get finance from the banks. Instead of paying rent for decades, the rickshaw pullers only pay the bank loan as installments and eventually become the owners of the rickshaws. Does Sarman get directly involved in microfinancing? Does Sarman involved in microfinancing? She's asking the question. Irfan Alam replied, no. We do not directly microfinance the rickshaw pullers. We do not directly microfinance the rickshaw pullers. We just enable the rickshaw pullers to get finance from the bank. We never microfinance the rickshaw pullers. We just enable, we just help the rickshaw pullers to get financial help from the bank. Okay, so Sarman Foundation helped the rickshaw pullers to get financial help from the bank. Instead of paying rent for decades, decades means for 10 years. Okay, instead of paying rent for decades, the rickshaw pullers only pay the bank loan as installments. Now they can pay the bank loan as installments and eventually become the owners of the rickshaws. Okay. Now the rickshaw pullers only pay the bank loans as installments and they eventually become the owners of rickshaws. They can pay the bank loan as installment and eventually they become the owners of rickshaws. Clear? So these all are the methods adopted by Sarman Foundation in order to help the rickshaw pullers. Such an innovative idea is adopted by the Sarman Foundation in order to help the rickshaw pullers. And also this would be very helpful for the rickshaw pullers and they feel greatly empowered under the Sarman Foundation. Okay, the next question. Aren't cycle rickshaws a dying breed? Are cycle rickshaws a dying breed? Are they dying breed? Rickshaws continue to be popular mode of transportation in most part of the country. Irfan Alam replied that rickshaws continue to be a popular mode of transportation in most part of the country. Rickshaws, it would be a popular mode of transportation in most part of India. The number of rickshaws in New Delhi has actually increased by 20% in the last 2 to 3 years. He replied that the number of rickshaws in New Delhi has actually increased by 20% in the last 2 to 3 years. The reason why the rickshaws are increasing day by day, because the reason for this increase is that it has become the choicest form of transport to carry passengers to and from the metro stations. The reason for this increase is that it has become the choicest form of transport. Rickshaws are the choicest form of transport to carry passengers to and from the metro stations. And also, I personally think rickshaws are the vehicles of the future. He replied that rickshaws are the vehicles of future and they are environment friendly. They are environment friendly. They are eco-friendly. Rickshaws are eco-friendly. And we have an R&D wing that is working on a solar-powered fiberglass rickshaw. Innovative ideas, isn't there? We have an R&D wing. What is this R&D wing? That is working on the solar-powered fiberglass rickshaw. So they became so eco-friendly, environment-friendly because it wouldn't emit poisonous gases like carbon monoxide, isn't it? So they became so eco-friendly and they have an R&D wing and that is working on the solar-powered fiberglass rickshaw. So he said that rickshaws are the vehicles of the future and they are eco-friendly, and in Delhi and in so many parts of India, actually the rickshaws increased by 20% in the last 2 or 3 years. Clear? Next question. What were your experiences at the Presidential Entrepreneurship Summit at the United States? Because we know that at an entrepreneurship summit held at Washington, D.C. in 2010, President Barack Obama complimented Irfan Alam with his words. What's the words complimented him? Yes, you are doing a tougher job than me. President Barack Obama, okay, he complimented Irfan Alam with the words, you are doing a tougher job than me. Obama replied, you were doing a tougher job than me to Irfan Alam while he Yes, while he participated in a summit in Washington, D.C. in 2010. What summit? Entrepreneurship Summit. So that's us asking here, what were your experience at the Presidential Entrepreneurship Summit at the United States? I met some truly great people. I was indeed honored to talk to the Nobel Prize laureate Muhammad Yunus. He invited me to Bangladesh to help set up a similar organization for the rickshaw workers there. While he was at Washington, D.C. for the Entrepreneurship Summit, he met Nobel Prize laureate Muhammad Yunus. And he invited Muhammad Yunus, the Nobel Prize laureate, he invited Irfan Alam to Bangladesh in order to help and to set up a similar organization like Sarman for the rickshaw workers there. So that is the good experience he felt at the Presidential Entrepreneurship Summit at the United States. And also Barack Obama complimented him with the words like, "You were doing a tougher job than me." Next question. What is your advice to students on entrepreneurship? An entrepreneur is one who identifies an opportunity and puts in conscious effort to make it an enterprise. People generally discourage youth from treading this path. But it is time to start thinking about entrepreneurship as a career, as it can be an important tool to tackle unemployment in the country. So, what is your advice to students on entrepreneurship? An entrepreneur is one who identifies an opportunity and puts in conscious effort to make it an enterprise. Who's an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur is one who identifies an opportunity and he put in conscious effort to make it an enterprise. So, who is the best entrepreneur? A best entrepreneur is one who identifies an opportunity and he puts his conscious effort to make it as a profitable venture. That is an entrepreneur. And people generally discourage youth from treading this path. Nowadays, people generally discourage youth from treading this type of path. But it is time to start thinking about entrepreneurship as a career. But Irfan Alam replied that it is the time to start thinking about entrepreneurship as a career. We must think, it is the time to think about entrepreneurship as a career, as it can be an important tool to tackle unemployment in the country, because we can wipe out unemployment in the country by just starting this entrepreneurship summits. Whose opinion? Yes, Irfan Alam's opinion. So we can wipe out or we can tackle unemployment in the country by starting this type of entrepreneurship. And it is important to dream, but it is equally important to take calculated risk to achieve your dream. It is important to dream, but it is equally important to take calculated risk to achieve your dream. Thank you very much for sparing the time to talk to us. We wish you the very best for your unique journey. Thanks. It is with the blessing of my mentors and well-wishers that I carry my journey forward. Okay, thank you very much for sparing the time to talking to us. And we wish you the very best for your unique journey. He replied, thanks. It is with the blessing of my mentors and well-wishers that I carry my journey forward. So this is the chapter. A Three-Wheeled Revolution. It is about Irfan Alam and it is in the form of an interview. with Irfan Alam. I hope you get clear this chapter very well. You keep on reading the textbook once or twice and listen to my video. I think it will help you a lot to get A+ in English. Stay tuned with me. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe my channel. Please subscribe and support my videos. Thank you. Thank you so much.